Hello and welcome to my GRAYDLE-KAIJU deck profile. First, the monsters. We are playing 3 Graydle Eagle, 3 Graydle Alligator, as well as 2 Graydle Cobra. All of these share the effect that if they are destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, they can equip themselves to an opponent's monster, and then we can take control of the opponent's monster. Eagle can do this if destroyed, equip itself to take control effect. When it's destroyed by a monster effect as well. Alligator can do this if it's destroyed by a spell effect, and Cobra can do this if it's destroyed by a trap effect. I'm playing 3 Eagle and Alligator because being destroyed by a spell or monster effect comes up quite often, and being destroyed by a trap effect rarely comes up. Then, for the other monsters we are playing 1 Graydle Slime Jr. If this is normal summoned, we can special summon any Graydle monster from our graveyard, and then we can special summon an Aqua monster from our hand with the same level. This locks us into water monsters though, but it's nice to get some board presence, I'll say. If this is destroyed by battle, we can special summon any Graydle monster from the deck, and this is a tuner, but it rarely ever comes up. Then we are playing some Kaijus, 3 Thunder King as well as 3 Jizukiru. Those are all on 3300 attack, which is nice because we can steal the Kaiju if we can swing with a Graydle monster into any of our opponent's monsters. We can't control 2 Kaijus unless we negate the effects of the Kaijus, so there will be some gimmick later on that will allow us to control 2 or more Kaijus. Then we are playing 2 Gadala, in case our opponent is playing a wind barrier statue, I guess. Also, this has a different stat line than the Jizukiru and the Thunder King. This is on 27, so if we would interrupt at Kaiju Slumber our opponent, we could give them a Gadala and us a Jizukiru to hit over a Gadala. Then we are playing 3 Alpha, the Master of Beasts. This can special summon itself if our opponent has more attack on board than we do, and it can target any number of beast monsters we control, return them to the hand, and then bounce monsters our opponent controls up to the number of cards returned. This means it's a threat that our opponent has to deal with that doesn't take up our normal summon. This can special summon itself again even after we have used its bounce effect, and it's just a big beater sometimes because it's on 3k. And finally, for our monsters, we are playing probably the best hand trap ever, or this format. We are playing D-Shifter. D-Shifter is great because our opponent can't really negate this in any way. You can't really run a cross out. You have to draw the 1 called by the grave, and it's rarely ever gonna happen. D-Shifter is very nice because we can just set our Graydles. If we go second, we can D-Shifter them. They are under D-Shifter turn 1, and turn 2 we can just Kaiju their monsters and then set our Graydles, and maybe set some back row as well. We don't really need the graveyard. We can't do the attack with a Graydle into an opponent's monster effect because they need to be sent to the graveyard, but we can just set the Graydles and we don't really mind that much. Now the spells and traps. We are playing 3 Graydle Impact. This can in the end phase search as any Graydle card, including itself, or it can target another Graydle card we control and 1 card our opponent controls to destroy them. The nice thing about this is that if we open 2 Graydle Impact, we can destroy one with the other and destroy 1 card our opponent controls, or we can trigger our Alligator with this. Then we are playing 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber can destroy all monsters on the field, and then it special summons a Kaiju to our side of the field and 1 to our opponent's side of the field. Also, we can banish this from the graveyard, except the turn it's sent to the graveyard, to add any Kaiju monster from our deck to the hand. This is just a great card. Sometimes a Kaiju isn't enough, sadly, so we are playing 3 Dark Ruler No More. This deck aims to go second, so Dark Ruler No More in main deck is a really nice addition. Then 1 Called by the Grave, in case our opponent wants to DD Crow a Graydle, for example, or wants to hit us in any other way. Then 1 Monster Reborn, because we can Kaiju a great monster our opponent has and then just Monster Reborn it to our side of the field. And then some draw cards. We are playing 1 Upstart Goblin and 2 Pot of Desires. This is simply because I didn't build the extra deck around Extrav, but you could play Extrav instead as well. This deck doesn't really need the extra decks. Sometimes you have to link off Kaijus if you want to summon another one from your hand, but you could play Extravagance instead of this as well. And finally, the traps. We are playing 3 Skill Drain. Skill Drain is just a great card, and it being at 3 is really nice. Skill drain is fun because we can Dark Ruler no more our opponent, then take some monsters they have with Kaijus, with Graydles, and flip the skill drain in the next turn, once we have dealt with all their negates. Yep, now let's go to the extra deck. Now the extra deck. We are playing some generic Link 2s because Kaijus lock us into only controlling one Kaiju, and sometimes we want to take control of a Kaiju our opponent has, or we want to summon another one from our hand. Because of that we have to link off Kaiju sometimes. Geonator Transversa is really good because it can non-target change control of monsters. Nightmare Phoenix is spell trap removal. Beat Cop can protect cards we have. Barricade Board Blocker can protect our face-up spells, and it can add us back a continuous spell from the graveyard. Dark can special summon a dark monster from our opponent's graveyard to our side of the field. Liner can summon a light monster our opponent has in the graveyard to our side of the field. And Mistar Boy can boost our water monsters, and it can add us a water monster from the graveyard to our hand when it's destroyed. Our last monsters in the extra deck are one Nightmare Unicorn because this is great removal, one Borrow Load and one Borrowed Sword because they are great in the battle phase, one Nightmare Griffin because this is a generic Link 4, one number 49 Fortune Tune because we can make this with our Graydles and this can stall, one Phantom Knights of Breaksword because this is removal and we can make this with our Graydles as well, and the last edition is maybe a bit questionable, but this came up once, Titanic Lad the Ashen Dragon. We can steal a Mirror Jade and then use the Mirror Jade effect if we have a fusion monster in our extra deck that lists Fallen of Elbaz. You really don't need your extra deck much, so you can run one of this as well. I thought about maybe running Nadir Servant and some Dogmatica stuff on the side deck to make this work, but didn't really work well, so a one-off is fine, but you can play any other Link instead as well. And now the side deck. We are playing one Duster just because it's great spell trap removal, then 3 MST. You can play Cosmic instead, but sometimes you crash with the Graydles into your opponent's monsters and you lose quite many life points. So the 1000 life points cost with Cosmics can come up, but you can play Cosmic instead if you want. Then we are playing 2 Rage of Karyu Shrin. This adds us Torrential Tribute and it can prevent our water monsters from being destroyed by a card effect. All Graydles are water, so this can come up very handy. Then 3 Torrential Tribute. As I said, this is searchable. And if we go first, we can play 3 lose 1 turns. This is essentially a worse skill drain, but it's another copy of skill drain. And because many people are only playing spot removal and not a board wipe, we can play this because not that many people are playing Dusters. People are mostly just playing Cosmics, people are playing Sprite Smashers. So once they remove our skill drain, we can flip this up and they essentially play under another copy of skill drain. And finally, we are playing 3 Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment is just insane. If we go first, we can negate anything that threatens our board, because sometimes our opponent can evenly match us. We really don't like that if our opponent does that. Yeah, I hope you like this deck. If you have any other ideas for deck lists you want to see or any feedback for this deck, just post it in the comments. I'm trying to reply to all comments if possible, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a nice day.